I want you to know, though, that it's real important for me that if I'm you, I don't want to hear from some guy who wrote a book and now he's an expert and never did anything or never really failed at anything. And we always say don't trust anybody without a limp, and I've got a lot of limps. All the stuff that I'm going to teach you today on your sheets, I struggle with. But they're super great attributes to work on, and I'm going to get into where they came from, but just to let you know, one of the best things that's available for me in my life is I've got a little more freedom and autonomy than probably most of you just because I consult, so that allows me then to spend time with a lot of different people that, you know, when I was coaching and working all the time, I couldn't go see the people I wanted to see or work with or visit, you know, and so part of what I hope I do for you today too is take all the stuff that I've learned and seen from other elite leaders around the country and the world and maybe distill it down and give it to you. All the stuff that's on this deal, I didn't come up with. That's ridiculous. There's nothing new under the sun. I just seem to be able to have a way to communicate it and have it make sense and give you practical tools that can weave it into your leadership. Make sense? All right. I'm always a big purpose, process, payoff. I'm not using slides today on purpose. Okay? Use your handout and watch me and stay locked in. It's going to go fast. Okay? But the purpose, process, payoff, I was always taught never going to a meeting, never going to a practice or anything. The purpose today is to energize you and to challenge you. All right, and also to give you tools to be better coaches as leaders. All right, the name of the game today is you got to be able to coach people, not just manage them, not just supervise them, not just direct them. You actually have to be able to coach them. You got to be able to do a lot of things to take them to another level or to take your team to another level. Agreed? Yeah, welcome to the high maintenance world now. It used to be you tell somebody what to do and they do it without asking any questions. Now we got to tell them the why, we got to give the why, we got to have everybody's why, and then we got to move forward, which is important, but then I got to tell them how it transfers into the big picture, and then I got to tell them that they might get promoted, but probably not, and then, you know, it's just ridiculous. All right, so that's the purpose. The process is I'm going to give you these 5 marks, and then hopefully I'll go not too fast, but fast enough we can do some Q&A at the end, all right, for about 5 or 10 minutes. And by the way, I am married 30 years coming up, and same lady, which is good. Sometimes there's guys who have 30 years with 2 women, but that's all right. And then I've got 3 kids. My older 2 are married, and I actually have a grandson now who's 9 months old, which is awesome, and named Boone Brown. Is that not the best name ever? It's either going to be a pro athlete or a country music star, I think. Anyway, I'm going to teach you the 5 marks, do Q&A, and then the payoff is I hope you leave here better and different than when you walked in the door. Okay? All the principles I'm going to share with you are applicable not only to you as a leader, but to you as a parent, if you got kids, to you as a spouse, if you're married, and if you're not married, they'll be great to have information to get you a spouse or whatever you want. Okay? All right. So, first things first, youngest person in the room, please. Is there someone in here that's under 30? Raise your hand. Nobody under, oh, wait. Did you see how they all sat on this side of the room? How old are you? 23. Okay, you got one question to get the book. Okay, here it is. Do you know what a busy signal is? Do you know what a busy signal is? It's okay. You're 24, right? Stay with me. Are you with me? All right, stay with me. Hey, by the way, we're not laughing at you, we're laughing with you. All right. Do you know what a busy signal is? This is the world we're living in now, right? Please tell me you do. Oh, very good, very good. Welcome, very good. Busy signals when we used to not have voicemail, and you'd call someone and it would go, and you would have to hang up the phone and wait. Yeah, terrible thing. By the way, hey, for a huge parting gift, do you guys know what a party line is? Do you? What is it? Yes, ma'am. Hey, give her a hand. That's fantastic. Well done, man. Remember, we're laughing with you, not at you. All right. As I travel around, I see 4 types of leaders. And this, by the way, it's not just the millennials, it's not just the Generation Zs. We're all forgetting what a busy signal is. We're all moving too fast. We're all living in a complex world where we need to get simple. And we need to keep it simple. But this world's very complex. It's not just these guys that are forgetting what it used to be like, right? And some of those things were pretty good. Things like a busy signal that taught us patience. Party lines that taught us how to listen in and gossip. No, that taught us how to truly wait, right? And be respectful of other people. Anyway, As I travel around the country, I see 4 kinds of leaders. This isn't on your sheet, so you might want to write it down. And when I say these, I've been all 4, unfortunately. And the interesting thing is, when I say these, I want you to picture someone that was this type of a leader. Make sense? The first one is the hostile, angry leader. This person's angry all the time. This person feels like that if they're not angry, and if they don't keep their foot on people's throats, something bad's going to happen. You got someone in mind? They yell all the time. They come home. They even kick their dog when they come home. They're angry, angry, angry. And by the way, anybody who yells a lot, who raises their voice or leads with intimidation or shame, is usually an insecure person. That's a telltale sign of insecurity. They're afraid of something. Okay? So they're going to be the big wild guy. Did I tell you I've been all 4 of these? I have. Second leader we see. All right? And by the way, the angry guy and gal is really, really, really results-driven too. Really results-driven. Second one we see is what we call the transactional leader. Okay? This person, all they care about is what? The results. Okay? I know. The favorite quote, worked with a couple guys like this, and again, I was one of these guys. The favorite quote of this guy or gal is, I don't care how you load the truck, just load the truck. Just do your freaking job. I don't want to hear excuses. I don't want to hear what's all going on in your life. I don't want any relationship with you whatsoever. Just get it done. Okay? Just kidding. Isn't it funny? Everybody reacts on phones ring. All right. Third one. Oh, I was number 2, the transactional. And there are 2 kinds of leaders, too, within the transactional. There's what we call the snowplow leader or the road grader. Okay, I was the snowplow. I grew up in Minnesota. We have plows that are like 25 feet wide. And they tell you the night before, hey, don't have your cars on the road. Get your kids out of the street. We're coming through. And when they come through at like 35, 40 miles an hour. And mailboxes are flying, kids, everything. They clear the road, but there's always collateral damage. That was me. I'm clearing the road, man. I don't care who's in my way. I'm getting my job done. So I'm not going to tell you the story, but I got pulled in the office. I was a head coach at a small university. I got pulled in an office by my athletic director, my boss, who is my friend. And he said, hey, Rod, you know what? And I literally told him, hey, you don't have to thank me for the job we're doing here. Don't worry about it. We're good. And he said, well, no one likes you. And I go, it ain't about people liking you, Scott. It's about doing a job. It's ain't about being a people pleaser. He goes, no, Rod, no one likes you, including me. I'm starting to not like you either. He goes, you need to make a change, or I'm going to have to let you go. So, addictive personality, I take it from transactional to the third one, and I take it all the way, and I don't just move the needle a little. I go all the way to the relational. The relational leader, all that person cares about is great relationships with their people. Yeah. Now, the problem is if you're too relational, you don't hold anyone accountable. So guess what? What's your first name? Right, what is it? Marilyn. Good, Marilyn. So sorry, when I got you, you're chewing. So I'm working with Marilyn, and all of a sudden, what's your name? Jerry tells me, hey, you need to tell Marilyn she screwed up the paperwork again, Rod. This is the 3rd time. We're tired of this. So I walk over to Marilyn's office, and then I realize she and my wife are best friends. I remember that. And then this weekend, they've actually got a cabin in the mountains, and we're supposed to go skiing with them. Ski in, ski out. And just before I knock on her office door, I remember, don't screw the ski weekend up. And I go, hey, Jerry just told me again about the paperwork. Marilyn, you're killing me, but hey, it's okay. I took care of it, but next time, make sure you take care of it. Is that clear? Good. We all good. Good. We good for this weekend? Sweet. And I sacrifice the accountability so that I can maintain the relationship. Very unhealthy. By the way, secret sauce in the 21st century, and you guys know this, highly relational as a leader, highly relationship driven, means you're a master connector with anybody, and you can hold people accountable without them resenting you. That's the secret sauce today. End of story. Oh, and by the way, you got to produce. You got to produce. How hard are those 3 things to do in sequence or in synergy? Impossible, right? Because people are messy. So how do we do it? So Rod is over here, right? So what do we got so far? Angry leader, hostile. Then we got the transactional leader, then the relational. Then I finally got a clue, and someone's coached me up and said, hey, you need to be a 3-dimensional leader or a transformational leader. Okay? By the way, transformational leader, a lot of people throwing this word around. We've been teaching it for like a decade and a half, and it's been around long before I was around. And there are people in this room that I know have taught it because I see some pastors and stuff. My son is getting his PhD in transformative teaching and learning. Pretty cool, huh? So what does that mean? Sounds expensive. And he said, Dad, what it is, he said, the teacher's so good that not only can he or she transform the way you think about the subject matter, but it also, the way they teach and what they teach spills into their personal life, and it transforms their entire life. That's how good that teacher is. Transformational. Make sense? So, first question is, ask yourself, which one of those four are you? Second question is, ask yourself, what would your people say you were? Okay? And then the third thing we're going to talk about is, okay, how can I be transformational? And it starts with these 5 marks. Make sense? Okay? So, let's jump into these 5 marks. Now, number 1, this comes from a friend of mine named Bernie Holiday. He's a mental conditioning coach for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Great guy. He's got a lot of work to do right now. And mature leaders possess a white belt mentality. Okay, white belt, all right, here's where this comes from. A guy named Jigorno Kano, he is the father of modern day judo. The way we score it, the way we do the tournaments. He was a master judo teacher, black belt to the nth degree, everything else. Well, the story goes that in the 1900s, he was traveling on a transatlantic ship, got pneumonia, and on a way to a deal, and his whole posse is around him. He's on his deathbed. All his disciples are around him, and they say, hey, Master, we know you're dying. You know you're dying. How do you want us to bury you? How should we honor you? And Jigorno looks at him and says, please bury me in my white belt. And they said, but Master, that's the beginner's belt. Why in the world would you ever want to do that? That's a disgrace. You're the best in the world. And he said, I want everyone to know that to my dying day, I was a voracious learner. Because when you're a white belt, you don't know what? Anything. Got it? So, my challenge and your challenge every single day, all right, is what can I learn? What can I learn? A common trait, all right, among every elite performer that I've ever worked with, whether it's an athlete or whether it's a coach or whether it's a SEAL commander, an operator, or an executive, is they are voracious learners. And I don't mean they just kind of think learning's important. It's everything. And they humble themselves so they can learn. Make sense? Now, I have a little tool that I use that's really important to me. I have to learn one new thing every day. Okay, so now each one of these, I'm going to give you a tool, so how you can have a white belt mentality. By the way, growth mindset, all that kind of stuff, yeah, that's great. How do I do it? Okay, well, number 1, don't get arrogant, stay humble. You know, I remember the story of a friend of mine was a pastor, and he was talking to this executive who was just uber wealthy, had bought and sold numerous companies, and the guy said, he goes, I'm a self-made man. And the pastor goes, really? And he said, yep, did everything on my own, never had anybody help me. Everything you see, I've accomplished. And the pastor, was trying to be nice and not say he seemed arrogant. He goes, no one ever helped you, huh? And he goes, no, sir. He goes, got a question for you. Who changed your diapers? Who combed your hair? Who bathed you? Who taught you how to tie your shoes? Who taught you how to read? And he went, what? On and on and on. And of course, the executive finally realized, no, it wasn't on my own. You know, there's a scripture, a passage I tweeted out the other day in Deuteronomy, and I can't remember the whole thing, but part of it is we are actually reaping the benefits of all the people that have helped us over the years. I mean, even the fires we built, we probably didn't go get the wood. All the things I'm teaching you today, yeah, like I sat in my house in some cabin in the mountains and came up with all this stuff. Give me a break, right? This stuff's been around for 2,000 years. So, 3-minute morning challenge. Here's how you can keep a spirit of a learner spirit. First minute when you wake up, don't even get out of bed. Spend 1 minute listing the things all you're grateful for. Second minute, okay, so it's a gratitude list. By the way, you do that because your brain can't be grateful and frustrated at the same time. You're going to set your mood. Number 2, second minute, you're going to listen to the learning of yesterday. You're going to replay the entire day from yesterday and try and find that one thing that you learned. Make sense? What did I screw up? What did I say wrong? What did I do right? What did I learn? Then the last minute's probably the most important. I'm going to look at my schedule in my head, and then, without picking up my phone, And then I'm going to think about, okay, I'm going to choose two things. I'm going to choose my attitude for everything on my schedule that day. So that means if I have to pick up an in-law that's coming in at the airport who likes to pick fights with me, verbal, I tell myself I'm not going to engage with my mother-in-law. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to take the high road this time. Second thing, this is huge. Mature leaders, by the way, you see the word mature on here? I've not met a transformational leader yet that's not a mature individual. Haven't seen it. And remember, old age isn't a guarantee of maturity, and youth isn't a guarantee of innovation. So we have to choose to want to be a mature individual, right? So going back to this last minute, the other thing is mature leaders know how to gauge and control their energy levels. We see this with athletes all the time. Freshmen will come to college, they'll get in pregame warm-ups, and they'll waste everything in warm-ups. They're so excited. There's 100,000 fans in the stadium, and they get all lathered up, and now they're too tired to play. They wasted everything in warm-ups. Okay? I once had a coach tell me, Rod, it's okay if we lose the pregame. We're okay with that. You got to be smarter than that. Great runners, what do? World-class runners, what do? Pace themselves. They know what they're doing. Not talking about sprinters. We're talking about they know what they're doing, right? Great leaders, and John Maxwell taught me this. You have to choose your energy level for each activity. You cannot be 100% all the time. It's impossible. You will crash. So what that means is, I knew I was going to be teaching today. I have to be 100%. I'm all in. Got to be sharp. Got to be going. Got to be on time, right? This afternoon, I've got a couple phone calls. They're not coaching calls. They're just phone calls. I'm going to talk to some guys. Got a lot of guys getting fired this time of year. So, hey, what do you think? What are we doing? I'm all in, but I'm probably at about an 80% level. I'm not like on. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So I just want to challenge you in that last minute, think about that. Okay, and that's going to lead to a humble spirit. It's going to lead to a wipeout mentality, the whole thing. Make sense? Good, let's go to number 2. All right, mature leaders control the controllables. Now, a lot of you people in here have heard me speak before, and I battled with, should I do a bunch of new stuff or not? And I just, and then Jamie and I talked and saw this would be a good place to start for a lot of different people. I told you, these are hard. These are super hard. In the sports world, there's a team called the All Blacks. They're the greatest sports team in the history of the world. Okay, and there's a great book called Legacy. A friend of mine, James Kerr, wrote it. And they've won over 100 years. They have won like 90 championships. It's ridiculous. But when they start talking about the kind of things that our generation or our corporate culture calls soft skills, EQ, okay, they would call them the soft things that are the hard things that win sustainable championships. I'll say that again. All this kind of stuff are the soft skills that are the hard things that win and have you give sustainable success over the years. These are hard. Here's number 2, control the controllables. Well, that's easy to say. And by the way, you see the quote there, all right? That means elite leaders focus on what they can control, not what they cannot. I got another quote for you that I really like. Dabo's using this all the time now down at Clemson. If you don't let go of the things that you can't control, they will control you. You may want to write that one down because it helped me. If you can't let go of the things you can't control, they will end up controlling you. You know what the difference is between worry and concern? Concern's good. It's healthy, right? Worry is not beneficial at all. Worry is when you worry about all the things you can't control, and that causes stress. And if you talk to anybody in the science and the health industry, what's the number one cause of most of our diseases? Stress. Okay? So again, control your controllables. Now, how do we do that? It's pretty simple. For me, I encourage you, number 1, make a list of your controllables, but we've been teaching this in youth sports forever, but what are the top 2 controllables for an athlete or for anybody? Attitude and what? Thank you. So I wish I would have patented that. Not that I thought of it. But it's interesting, or trademarked it, but what's interesting is attitude and effort is everything. Somewhere on this sheet under control and controllables, you guys are like, how do I impact my team? How do I have a high-performing team? How do I really impact my team and lead them? The number 1 way you lead your team is by what you do, not by what you say, right? So that means you and I need to be modeling the behavior we want to instill in other people. That means if you learn to control your controllables, if you learn to have a great attitude and a great effort all the time, how will that affect your team? Very, very, very positively, all right? Now, here's the other thing. How about our kids at home? What if your kids had a clear picture of the expectations in your house of controlling the controllables? And not just controlling the controllables, actually dominating your controllables. When I say that word dominate, what's that mean? What's the difference between control it and dominate it? Yeah, dominate it. I'm taking control. I'm hammering that thing. I own it. It's mine. Okay, do you dominate your controllables? Do I? Do you dominate your attitude, or do you let other things affect you? Do you dominate your effort every day? Do you dominate your ability to execute things that are under your control? Do you dominate the fact that you can let go of things, or does that still get you? Think about our kids. What if your kids every single day had a great attitude and gave you great effort in everything they did? How would your life be? Whoo, right? Second thing you got to have, and write this down to control your controllables, is you got to have a mistake philosophy. If you don't have a mistake philosophy, and if your team doesn't have a mistake philosophy, they're going to flounder because they're not going to know how to handle adversity. Everybody says, well, you got to embrace the suck. You got to fight through it. You got to handle the tough stuff. How? Teach me. Give me a freaking tool. All right? It's just like, it's one thing, in coaching, we don't have the luxury that when my quarterback screws up and throws his third interception in a bowl game that I got to win or I'm fired. I don't have the luxury of going, well, we'll just figure it out. No, I have got to get him understanding what he did, why he did it, and how to fix it quickly so he can go what? Back out there without me doing it for him. So that's a whole different leadership style. That's why it's like, if you start seeing yourself as a coach, and write this down too, you need to be working yourself out of a job every single day. If you're doing a great job, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to work yourself out of a job. Now, I get fired up, let's talk about football, but going back to the mistake philosophy, this is great for your kids. There's only, my good friend Frosty Wester, who passed away a long time ago, a highly successful coach, he wrote a great book. They just reprinted it, Make the Big Time Where You Are. It's a neat book. He taught this to me, and I used it all the time with my players and my kids. Only 3 things you do when you make a mistake. Admit it, fix it, and don't repeat it. Admit it means what? Take responsibility. Take ownership. Don't blame someone else. Okay? When we feel discomfort, the number one thing we like to do is blame someone else because that discharges the pain and gives it to someone else. Well, I would have done the paperwork, but she didn't give it to me in time. Okay? So admit it, take responsibility. I threw the rock, I broke the window. What's the second one? Fix it. This should be an unemotional event. We tell coaches it's okay to have emotions, but it's not okay to coach emotionally. You're going to experience emotions. Don't shelf those. But don't start teaching and making decisions while you're emotional. Not good. Okay? So now you're going, okay, well, how do I do it then? It's like a pilot on a checklist. Do you know that like 95% of the airplane crashes in our country are caused by pilot error? That means just they missed something on the checklist. That's it. So if we can get coaches and parenting too, my wife always says this. My daughter came home one time and it was a club volleyball thing. She was 14. And she came home and said, hey, one of the girls said this weekend she's going to do something with her boyfriend. And I can't say it in this room. And it was something that you and I would have went, duh! It's like, God, who is that girl? I'm going to kill her for saying that. And my daughter goes, what's that? And my wife says, this is the time as a parent, you better have the best poker face on the planet. Because if you blow up, if you get upset, she will never what? She will never come back again. Never. Same thing with our employees. Same thing with our players. We're coaching them. We got to keep it at hey, you might be so upset, it is crazy. Get yourself together and now calmly correct the problem with them. Just fix it. Okay, admit it, fix it, and then what? How good would your life be as a parent if your kids had a great attitude, gave you great effort all the time in school and at home, and when they made a mistake, they'd admit it, they'd fix it, and they'd never repeat it? Tell me that doesn't preach. I'm a high clarity, high performance guy. Low clarity, low performance. I want to keep it simple. You do those 5 things for me, you're good. That's a great culture, right? Is that cool? All right, let's go to the next one. What are we on, 3? All right. Mature leaders maintain a sniper focus. And it says elite leaders can be where their feet are. I love that term. Good friend of mine, Kevin Elko, came up with that. Just be where your feet are. Probably the top, other than balance, the top request I get from my clients in coaching, whether it's executives or commanders or wherever it is, hey, how can I be more present at home? Or how can I be more present with my people? Be where your feet are. My feet are here, I'm here. I'm not thinking about other stuff. Right? By the way, don't you hate going to those parties where you walk in the door and the party host shakes your hand, but then he's looking over your head to see who's behind you? If there's anybody more important than you? So remember, sniper focus. By the way, listening is probably one of the greatest things we can do. And I don't mean, the whole active listening. I love that term, right? But I mean, not listening is the number one passive form of disrespect. It's number one. You want to really piss somebody off? Go ahead and don't listen to them. Go ahead and just keep typing on your deal. Okay, sniper focus means what? Snipers don't look at everything. What do? Narrow, narrow, narrow. Okay, so as you think about this, you go, okay, well, how do I do this? Well, I want to show you something. Sniper focus is hard in today's world. Here's why. About 2015, Microsoft, or 2014, Microsoft did a study on attention spans. Okay, and I'm about to teach you the 60-second window. And what's interesting is they found out that our attention span was about 12 seconds. Okay? Then, about 3 years later, they did the study again. And they found out that our attention span dropped to 8 seconds. Okay, what's caused it? Phones. Yeah, and just media. By the way, if you ever watch Sesame Street, they do a great job of changing camera angles every what? 4 to 5 seconds, because they know 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, they don't have attention spans at all. By the way, if you watch movies, you'll notice movies and TV shows, unless it's a monologue like speech, where they'll zoom in for effect, they'll change camera angles every 6 seconds. Clockwork. Why? What are they trying to do? Keep our attention, keep us engaged. So, by the way, did I tell you this? What did we say? Microsoft said 8 seconds. That's our attention span. A goldfish is 9. They found out you can put your finger on the bowl and it'll stay there for 9 seconds and then it'll go. Okay, so that's the world we live in. And now you're going to walk up and you're going to, what's your first name? Seth. I'm going to sit in Seth's office. Seth's office. Say that 3 times fast. And I'm going to talk to him for an hour. Or I'm going to have a team meeting in a hot room for 2 hours and with 95 slides with 12 font. And I'm going to do that. Why? So think about this. Write this down. Can you say more by speaking less? Can you coach and lead like you're texting? Okay? Here's the 60-second window. And by the way, I really think this is 45 seconds, not 60, based upon what we see in the cultures. Okay, so I'm going to use these red, yellow, and green, okay? Just like traffic lights. Here's how it works. We're not going to have time for Q&A because I've got too much, give you too much. So the first 20, I'll say the first 20 seconds, it's green. I'll listen to you, okay? What's your first name, Greg? Yeah, Greg comes up to me, starts talking to me. For 20 seconds, I will give him grace and I will listen. I don't care what he has to say. It's good manners. Once we get to the next 20 seconds, Greg needs to get his crap together. And he needs to make me understand, why is this relevant? Why are you talking to me? Get it? What's the word? Relevant. He's got to show me why it's relevant. Hey, Rod, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did this. I went to Bannerman Speedway, and I'm like, okay, I'm at 20 seconds now. That's great. What do I care? I'm thinking that. And he goes, well, I know you know John Bannerman. So I thought, and I'm like, okay, you got me for another 20 seconds. Okay, then by the time we get to the last 20 seconds, if he hasn't asked me a question and let me answer it, I'm out. Making sense? So what do we got to do the last 20? You got to ask a question and let them answer it, which means what Greg can't do is go, yeah, Rod, what do you think of John Bannerman? And I go, oh, he asked me a question. That's nice. Well, John's like, oh, I know, me too. Me too. And when I went there, I did this, this, and that, and this, and that, and this, and that, and that. And I'm like, dude, shut up. I'm out. Is this ringing true to anybody? By the way, this is also pertains to not being the oh no leader. We call it the oh no coach. You never want to be the oh no coach. Oh no, here he comes. Oh no, here she comes. Oh no. Or that person. Oh no, I don't want to talk to him. I never, makes sense? Don't be that person. It's like Coach Obvious. So I really think, though, I think this is 15, 15, and 15. We teach coaches when they give feedback in a drill or in the midst of stuff, 7 seconds or less and get out. If you want to talk to them longer, pull them out of the drill. How many times do we interrupt as leaders and talk way too much? How about as parents? That's me. I'm going to explain everything. And then I'm going to explain it again because you're an idiot. Can't believe you did that. All right, let's keep moving. Does that help? Say more by speaking less. Teach like you're texting. All right, flip it over. A mature leader doesn't build dungeons. All right. These last two are important. There are four. A dungeon is a metaphor. We used to call this the four walls of losing, but we call it the four performance killers. I've taught this here at Journey before, but it's really important because I think a lot of us, we build our own mental dungeons. We build our own mental and emotional dungeons, and mental health is so important today. You know, we're so much more aware. Four walls. Here's the first wall we build. Self-pity. You want to really destroy your production, your ability to reach your potential, start feeling sorry for yourself. By the way, do we do it? Sure we do it. I travel all the time. I come home. Wife, hey, glad you're home. Kids are gone now, you know. Hey, wife, hey, glad you're home. Great. Hey, I got to go meet my girls for dinner. I put some spaghetti in the fridge, and the sauce is on the stove. All I got to do is heat it up. See ya. I'm like, I've been gone for 5 days. I didn't even get a kiss on the cheek. And she doesn't even know how lucky she is to be married to me. This is ridiculous. And then I start stirring that sauce, and guess what I start thinking? They don't appreciate me. They don't know how hard I work. And woe is Rod. Widow Wadney is sad. And I get into the self-pity. How easy is it to go down that rabbit trail? Yeah, by the way, the highest performers on the planet, nada, zero self-pity. Zero. Second wall, envy or complaining. Go ahead and start comparing your life to others. By the way, this isn't new, right? But go ahead and live in the comparison world. Well, their company's doing this, their firm's doing that. My neighbor's got this, it has got that. Hey, shut up. You know, I wear this wristband, and every time if I start complaining, I have to take it off and shift it to the other wrist. And it's hard to do. And it embarrasses me when I have to do it. Because it reminds me how stupid it is to play the comparison game or the envy jealousy game. Right? I heard somebody say something about marriage the other day to me. I asked him a question. It was a great answer. He said, let your standard of beauty be your spouse. How good is that? That's the standard. She's the standard, not that lady or that lady or that guy or that guy. I'm not comparing her to other people. There's a lot more to her than the way she looks. Man, plus she likes me. Not many people like me. All right, number 3, impatience. My mentor taught me this. We're talking about maturity, right? He said, Rod, when you're impatient, it's about you. When you're patient, it's about other people. I said, oh, that's pretty good. And he goes, no, it's even better. When you're impatient, it's a sign of immaturity. And when you're patient, it's a sign of maturity. He goes, you're like a 2-year-old sometimes that didn't get his way. We want things to happen when? Remember, things that are built to last are not built fast. We want it, we got to wait. All right, number 4, okay, last wall is bitterness. We hold on to stuff. We carry that backpack around with us of all that stuff people did to us before, and it weighs us down. Bitterness is the strongest emotion in the human spirit other than love. By the way, bitterness is usually caused by an injustice. An injustice is when something bad happens to you or someone and you did nothing to deserve it. And then it just goes right into bitterness. So how do we stay out of the dungeon? Number 1, 3-minute morning challenge is a good way, right? Gratitude, all that kind of stuff. Gratitude's number 1. Number 2, though, you got to live in a world of forgiveness. If you and I can't forgive people, doesn't mean we trust them. But if we can't forgive them and give them grace, I was just teaching something 2 weeks ago to an exec team, and we were talking about accountability. And I'm not going to write it down, but I'm going to say it fast because I want to honor your time. But bad teams, bad exec teams, or bad teams, or poor teams, all right, in regard to accountability, they don't have any. Bad families, they don't have any. Okay? Average teams with accountability, average companies, they're held accountable by their bosses. Okay? Great teams. Okay? And by the way, they also, the accountability piece and the forgiveness piece, they'll only do it on average teams if you can help me, if it's equity. Like, I'll only forgive you and trust you if you can do something for me, then I'll do it for you. That's the average team. By the way, great teams, they forgive people in spite of what they've done. Now, does that mean we never fire anybody? No. No, if they're ruining the whole ship, they got to go. If they're the joker and just want to see the world burn, they're out. Okay, but grace, grace, grace. You want to stay out of the dungeon? Give people grace and move on. Okay, but how hard is that? Nod your head and say something. How hard is that? It's brutal. Yeah, there's still people I mean, think about divorce and how kids feel. And some of you have been through that as a child or as an adult, right? Man, it's hard. It's hard to move forward. All right, last thing here. Number 5, a mature leader, an elite world-class leader is a pro. That means you're passionate, you're relentless, and you take ownership of what you do. This came from the Pittsburgh Pirates. We were trying to teach young players what it means to be a pro, what it means to be a major league player, an elite player. So we had to define what a pro is. So my question to you is, are you a pro? Are you a pro at your job? Are you passionate? Are you relentless? And do you take ownership of everything? How about at home? Are you a pro? It doesn't mean you're perfect. It just means you're in process, though. You're working at being passionate. By the way, you don't have passion, what happens to the marriage? It's gone. Okay, you have workers that don't have passion, gone. My kids are kind of out of college except for the last one, and he's almost done, and now it's like, hey, what are you going to do? He's like, he wanted to work in the hospitality industry. Did a bunch of internships, hated it. Shouldn't say hated it, but just didn't love it as much as he thought he would. He's a lacrosse kid, and he goes, Dad, I love lacrosse. I go, why don't you be a college lacrosse coach? He goes, you mean like you were a college coach? I go, well, you get paid a lot more now than I did. But I said, yeah, be a college lacrosse coach. And he goes, really? And I go, okay, question. If you had to work at a front desk in a hotel 60 hours a week and help with housekeeping and setup for events, or work 60 hours a week, chalking the field and stringing lacrosse nets and doing the team laundry, which one would you pick? He goes, lacrosse in a heartbeat. I go, there's your job. Passion, relentless, and what's the last thing? Okay, last story I'm going to tell you. By the way, we live in a world that's telling you not to be a world-class leader. World-class leaders are transformational. That means they see things other people don't see. They see what people can be that other people don't see. You guys tracking with me? It's ridiculous how the world doesn't want you to think like that as a leader. They just want you to grind it out and get what you need and then let people figure it out. But our job is to help people be the best that they can. Our job is to help people realize their dreams. If we're in a leadership position, I want to help that person reach their dream. Today, all I want to do is help you guys be better and enhance whatever you do. I can't control it. I just hope it helps a little, right? But the world's saying, yeah, you don't come to these things. There's nothing new out there. No, there isn't. But there's great reminders that we need to go back to over and over and over that are the foundation of what a good leader is, which is what? Be a transformational leader, have a white belt mentality. Hey, what's another one on your sheet? Control the controllables. Don't build dungeons for yourself or others. And then what's the last one? Be a pro. Take ownership. Okay? Last story, and then we'll get you out of here. And by the way, if you want to answer questions or anything, where will I be? I'll be back there. I'll be back there with the books, back there, signing $1 million books. Kelly McGregor, who some of you used to know, he was the president of the Colorado Rockies. He's the one who took it from the last place team, both fiscally and on the field, to when they went to won the National League Championship, went to the World Series. He died 10 years ago, 48 years old, 4 kids. Great man, great man. He and I every month would meet with each other. He was in a group of executives I was leading for a while, and then he and I became great friends, and every Tuesday of the month, once Tuesday of the month, I'd go meet with him at Coors Field. We'd just share ideas on leadership and mentoring and stuff. And we were walking down the street one time, on Blake Street, going to Starbucks, beautiful day. And we're walking, and Kelly's a huge man, 6'8", 250, played in the NFL. And we're walking, and there's a piece of trash on the floor, on the ground. And it's off the sidewalk, like it's past the curb in the street. And we keep walking and walking, all of a sudden Kelly disappears. And I look back, and he's picking up the trash. It's like a nasty Kleenex or something. And he picks it up. By the way, he's in an Armani suit deal. Picks it up, walks over to those green metal trash cans, throws it in the can, comes back, starts talking to me like nothing happened. And I'm mad because I'm sick of Kelly. I'm sick of how perfect Kelly is. Kelly, all right? Ridiculous. So finally I go, what are you doing? And he goes, what do you mean? I go, what are you doing? He goes, what are you talking? I go, you're picking up trash. By the way, I saw that piece of trash, and I walked by it. And he goes, well, I just thought I'd pick it up. I go, no, why? You're the president of the Colorado Rockies. Why are you picking up trash that's in the street? That's not even in our, vicinity, good word. And he goes, and I'll never forget this. He goes, well, it's my city. And I thought to myself, wow, I've got trash in my own backyard I don't pick up. I hope it blows over to the neighbors, right? But I'm like, I don't think like that, right? I wasn't thinking like that. And so that's the last challenge I want to give you. You know, as we blew through these, but I want to challenge you that, you know, we've got a saying, you're either coaching or you're letting it happen. And that means that if my kids at home act like idiots, I either coach them to do that and taught them, or I allowed them to. Now, there are sometimes you train your kids right and they still end up going away, right? But if you got employees that are jacking things up, that's on you. You know, the SEALs talk about there's no bad units, there's only bad leaders. At the end of the day, it comes down to who? The leader. I've watched these lunch and learns from all the other people that have been up here, and they all talked about you got to lead yourself, you got to lead yourself, you got to lead yourself. It's exactly right. You got to make, it's the old oxygen mask thing, right? Put the mask on first, then help everybody else. But here's the reality. If you can't do the 3-minute morning challenge, you're jacked up. And so am I. 3 minutes? You don't even have to get up. I mean, that's it, right? And so I just want to challenge all of us. Man, I think you guys, if you're here, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but keep believing that you can see what other people don't see. You can help people who don't think they can be helped. And you can see what people can be better than anybody else if you have your antennas up, and that's your goal, is to help others reach their dreams. I encourage you to take this list. My email's on it, the Twitter thing's on it. I do like a tip of the day, all that. But I want to encourage you to take this list and kind of make it a checklist for yourself that every month, go through it and say, how am I doing? How am I doing? Make sense? I'll be in the back. Thanks for allowing me to do this. Sure appreciate you guys. Keep leading. Thank you.